Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This isn't Saturday, but I am doing the driving vlog video. Normally that's only on Saturdays. So on my way to hunting, this is kind of a tradition, family tradition that I've been doing for about since I was out of high school. And I'm not gonna say what year it was, but you know, let's just say it was about 32 years ago. I'm also doing a video for my hunting channel, outdoors channel also, and I mentioned in that one, it's just crazy because I remember bringing my son here when he was very, very small, before he could even go in the woods. And now he's driving in front of me because he's driving back to college when we're done with the trip on Sunday. So for those people with little bitty kids or don't have kids yet, take it from a proud father that don't blink. That's all I'm gonna tell you, don't blink, because it's gonna be an emotional weekend. I wake up this morning, barely packing my bag, and he's got the trucks loaded up, four-wheelers loaded up, everything else, when normally Dad would do all that stuff and make sure he didn't forget toothbrushes and make sure he had underwear and all that stuff like that. And no, he did everything, so that's good. But look, I only got 12 minutes till I get to the lease, to the hunting camp where I'm going, so you know this won't be a long video. I wanted to do a quick recap, and again, I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm gonna do a recap over my on top of my head, because I didn't do a full video about the Wingbits AMA, and I feel like it deserved one. I'm not gonna sit and lie. You know, I don't sugarcoat things. You know, I'm honest with y'all, and I tell it like it is. There's a lot of mixed opinions, and I'm very surprised by that. I'm not saying either opinion is right or wrong. Don't take it that way. You have the right to feel how you feel. I actually thought people would be pleased with this, but you have some people, I guess the hardcore, deep in mining people type of group, that feels that they are artificially putting a price on a token, and that might hurt growth or hurt device sales. You know, I guess that's one way of possibly looking at it. I'm going over a bumpy bridge here on the old river structure between Mississippi River and Red River. But I don't know if I agree with that, but I can understand where they're coming from. I will say, again, you know, I'm truthful and I admit things. I don't see the amount of WB200s or MGW310s like I was. You know, first there was a lot of them. And then it got to be about 1 or 2 a week. Then it became 1 or 2 every other week. Now it's at least using my code. That's all I can see, is who's using my code. You know, it got to be, I would say, 2 or 3 a month. I wouldn't say 1 a month, but you know, every other week you would see 1, maybe 2 being sold. Still surprised by the amount of MGW310s that are being sold, with the way that GeoNet they're having and what their price is now. You're making, you know, I forget how much you're making a day with that, but it's come down a little bit. But to me, depending on where you want to put a Wingbit station at, depending on where you are in the world and what country you're in and what that country looks like and what that area looks like. I was talking about this on my live. I do a live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Thursday we went through some areas of at least the United States, and I showed where there are several wide open spots for some Wingbit stations. Now, there is a huge wide open spot without a station, literally probably, I'm gonna say 150, 200 miles away is the closest station, and I am putting a Wingbit station there. I actually somehow found a host in that area. It is not Chug Water, for those who know about Chug Water. It's not Chug Water. It's southwest of that, but I can't wait to see that pop up and what kind of coverage it gets. But going with the AMA, I got 9 minutes left. AMA. Wingbits has decided, because they're not still ready for TGE, they mentioned that they are watching what other projects are doing right now with TGE, taking those, using those for example. And I don't want to sit there and call out certain projects, but you've had several projects in the last year who have seemed to rush TGE because everybody in their Discord was, when's TGE? When's TGE? When's TGE? So they said, okay, fine, here's TGE. And the token has done this, and people say, man, I knew this project sucked. And Wingbits is trying to do whatever they can to prevent that from happening. They want to make sure they have enough income coming in, customers coming in. They did mention that they have 12 paying customers right now. Some they could announce, some they're not allowed to announce. But either way, they have 12 paying customers. We know who some of those are. Some of those are some big players. Some airline players. I think it was like Korean Air and another one. And they talked about that, but making sure they have a good revenue stream coming in so they can buy token, add liquidity token, burn token, and that whole mechanism. And they just want to make sure that that is set up right. And they don't feel that they're quite set up right just yet. Like, you know, they're saying they could see TGE Q1 of 2026 and not much, you know, anything further than that. But they also were very hesitant in selling they did not want to set another TGE date because they know that has come to burn them in the ass before. You know, they talked about August at one point, then September. They knew for a fact it'd be September. Then they said Q4, and then they also said how they couldn't see it going into 2026, and now we're going into 2026. So they talked about that. They talked about they didn't want to make that too far, or they didn't want to make that exact date and get burned again or whatever like that. So hey, I'll give them that. To me, they're being very careful, but they also know they got people like me who have been in this project now for 2.5 years, who we have some capital out on it. You know, we have, even though I did DIY devices, and even though majority of my devices on DIY were either old heliums, 1 or 2 might still be old Lenovo tiny computers or something like that, I still had to go pay $50 almost for a SDR for each one of them. I had to go pay almost $50 for the antenna plus feed line, plus any other little knick-knack thing I might have needed, a Wi-Fi USB hub or something like that. You times that by 14 stations. Some of y'all have the WB200s out. So they knew that we were kind of pushing for TGE. So after much meetings and analysis and whatever you want to call it, they finally they decided that they would do a kind of a pre-sale, because they're not selling anything, but a pre-reward, a pre-TGE rewards. And to get the eligibility for that, as long as you had at least 15,000 Wings tokens, you could sell up to 50% of your testnet tokens. You could, and it's going to be more of a redeeming. You can redeem them, but either way, and they will give you 0.005 cents for each of those tokens. And they kind of got into the, without, you know, I got 8 minutes left. I don't want to sit there, 6 minutes left. I don't want to get too deep into this, but they took a evaluation of what they kind of looked at, what they estimate the evaluation, and looked at some other projects evaluations, and kind of came up with this guesstimate guess. Now, some people are pissed off at that because some people think you are automatic. All right, I don't know where I left off. I got a phone call, and I'm not gonna really be able to edit this video on the go, so y'all gonna have to bear with me. So I'm sorry, but yeah, at 0.005, some people thought that valuation was kind of low because now you're putting the evaluation on a token, and people are gonna think that's what the token's gonna be worth at release, and it might hurt the growth. I disagree with that. I use Grass, for example. Grass released at like 47 cents. And within 2 to 3, 4 weeks, it was worth almost $4. Now, some projects, like 375 AI to a point, but also like Nubula, I don't know what the hell's going on with Nubula, but they had a huge drop once they were released. But that was also because they released almost all their testnet tokens at one time, where you can go do whatever you want with them. We know for a fact that with projects you can't do that. Wingbits has taken the extra step to say, we're not doing that. We're gonna give you a certain amount of release at TGE, and then you're gonna get whatever you have in testnet tokens, it's going to be broken up within 12 months and given to you back in 12 months. So these guys are taking steps. From what I understand, they actually hired a guy who was like some kind of expert on blockchain and crypto tokenomics and stuff like that to figure out a lot of this crypto stuff and what's the best way to protect this project. So because of that, I'm not expecting, and again, this is not financial advice. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea what's going to go on. But the teams and all that don't even have a unlock at TGE from what one of their posts said the other day. I thought they had a little bit, but according to their post on Discord and X, whatever, they're not even getting a drop or release at TGE. Only us. So I don't think you're going to see, unless there's something else going on in the crypto market like you're seeing now, I don't think you're going to see this huge crazy drop. Also, just because the pre-release was at 0.005 does not mean that the token is going to automatically be 0.005 or less, or only a tad more. We've seen where tokens have did pre-sales at 0.005 and then the token gets released and it was 4 cents or 5 cents. Now, I don't ever think Wingbits will release at that. People keep asking me over and over and over again, what do I think the token will be worth upon release? This whole time I have prevented giving a token estimate, okay? And I really don't like giving one now because if I'm wrong, people are going to say, Grumpy said it was going to be this. But I've also hinted, if you watch enough of my videos, I've also hinted at what I think what I thought the token was going to release at, if you caught it. Let me explain it to you. Wingbits has a 10 billion token supply. So I have mentioned in other videos that most projects, not the top 10 or top 50 projects, but most of your projects with a 1 billion token supply will be worth 10 cents. A project with 100 billion token supply will be 0.001 cents. So common sense would say, well, if Grumpy's saying that, then that means a 10 billion token supply should be worth at least 1 penny. If a project's doing well and the project has a better market value and all that, then it's going to go up from there. So you could see a Wingbits token 2, 3, 4, 5 cents. You have some 10 billion token supplies, token projects in the top 30 or 40, 50. I don't have it in front of me. I can't show you, but at 10 and 13 cents. Now, make sure we're clear. This is not financial advice. I do not see this project getting that high at this time, or even in the first couple of weeks, couple of months. So if it never reaches 10 cents, do not get upset at Grumpy. All right. But I was hoping it would be 1 cent. Wingbits has did enough meetings, enough advertising, enough socializing and stuff that there's a lot of people talking about this project, that when TGE occurs, my hope is that TGE occurs and you will have people who want to purchase the token, buy into it, and it would increase the value of that token. And that's how it would get to the 3, 4, 5 cents. I know for a fact, I have seen several different people on different Discords say, well, hell, I wish there was a way we could buy those tokens that people are getting rid of at 0.005, because I feel so high about this project, I want to buy them at 0.005. So that should kind of tell you that there is a market for this token if it is that low, which makes me feel better. But again, I think you have projects that can learn from this. That, hey, I'm not saying that after 6 months, we joined this new project. I can't remember the name of it. I talk about it in my Discord. Y'all got to be in my Discord. But I'm not saying that this project just started in 6 months. They're not ready to go TGE, so they do this kind of thing. No, I've been in Wingbits since April of 2023. What was that, like 18 or 20 months or something like that? And I know I was one of the first people in the United States with stations, because I remember that. One of maybe the 5th, 5th or 6th person. But anyway, but I'm saying, but I think some projects that may be going like a year and a half could learn from this and say, look, we're not quite ready for TGE because we know we can't sustain this token, but maybe we can do a kind of a pre-sale where we take back some people's rewards and we'll let them cash it in for whatever. You know, Wingbits has said that this is technically not a token sale, and I understand that because the token is not TGE yet, it's not released yet. But either way, if I lose out on 100,000 tokens because I get 100,000 tokens back or whatever, you know, I'll turn 100,000 tokens or whatever it is, or I tell them I want to exchange 100,000 tokens for whatever that is, $500, whatever. I'm still gonna have 100,000 tokens missing that I received last month. What happens to those daily rewards at that point? That's what I want to know. They're saying they're not burning them. I don't know. I'm curious about that. The other thing I'm very curious on is, that's a little bit confusing, is what happens to host stations. Now, I've made it no secret that some of my hosts are starting to question, hey, why have I not received anything yet? Are you getting rewards and I'm not getting any kind of rewards yet? Like, you said a year and a half ago that this was coming soon and stuff like that, and here we are now, we don't get rewards yet. I understand that, but the question comes in is, if I want to give some of my cash that I swap for my host, then technically they should be losing a little bit of their tokens that is their percentage of the host rewards. How do I minus that? Because if I'm not able to minus that, they're still going to get 100% of their percentage of the host reward. If I have a 60-40 deal with a host, he's going to still expect 100% of his 40% of those rewards, right? If I give him $50, if he even wants $50, how do I get that $50 out of him, out of his rewards? Because if not, he's gonna get 100%. Does that make sense? So we got to figure that out. I really don't think my hosts are really gonna want $25 or $30 or $40, something like that. People keep asking me, because I got to wrap this up, we're here, but what is Grumpy gonna do? And you know, I'm honest with y'all. Again, I have 15 total stations, 14 DIYs. I've made it no secret, even though I'm trying not to talk about this no more in videos because people are telling me stuff about it. But things are very, very, very tight right now in my house. Son's in college, my daughter's a senior, also on softball, and I still have an IRS tax payment. Even though I paid extra on taxes last year, I still was somehow short. I can't understand how I claimed zero on my taxes at work and I'm still not taking out enough, but anyway, it's not a here or there, and I still owe a little bit from that. I'd like to get that from over my head. I need a hunting license for Mississippi. I ain't bought my hunting license yet. Hunting season starting this weekend in Mississippi. I'd like to have a little bit left for that. You know, but I'm also selling at 0.005, and I think this token's gonna be worth way more than that. So I have to balance it out. So is Grumpy gonna sell a little bit of his? Also, fun fact is, I was told, and this I announced this on my live last week, was that Grumpy is the #1 Wingbits holder. #1. With 1.4 something million wings currently. I am the #1 holder, #1 miner, #1 whatever you want to call it, with Wingbits Project. Y'all know me. I like to be able to brag about that shit. I don't want to sell tokens right now and lose the #1 spot. So I got some things with it. So yes, am I going to take a little bit of cash out? Yes. Wingbits is taking $400,000 out of their budget from somewhere, I don't know where, to put on side of this. But that is if everybody takes out currently that's eligible 50% of their tokens. Well, I know there are several people in my Discord and the Wingbits Discord that said they ain't touching it. So that right there shows you that not all that money is going to be spent. So we're going to see. We'll see how all that goes. I had some figuring out to do. You know, part of me says I've missed out on so many different projects because they've tanked so fast and stuff that I don't know what to do. And now I'm looking at it as maybe I want to get something out of this one while I can. But I think this one's set up long term way better than everybody else. But we're pulling up to the hunting lease, and that's it. So there's a lot more that went in that AMA. I'm sure there's going to be some more updates later, but for right now, this is what it is. So Thank you all for watching. If I can think of anything and I have to add something before I edit this video later tonight, I'll add it, but we'll see how that goes. So everybody have a great Thanksgiving, unless I have something else. See y'all later. All right, so I hope I'm on this gravel road. I hope I'm not too loud with it. 'Cause I did forget a very important thing I wanted to go over. Y'all know I couldn't end this at 9 minutes. Y'all should know better. People did bring up several times about the high fix stations. I know this is not the point for me to say I told you so, but some people think I don't know what the hell I talk about. So sometimes it's not that I'm rubbing it in your face that I know it all, because nobody knows it all. I say all the time, we're always learning. I go to training still, we're always learning. But people are still having problems with the high fix stations, with the LNAs. People who are even have the little surge protector on there that fall within those serial numbers, and they are hitting their you know, they're in the affected serial numbers. They weren't affected before. They put the surge protector on there and they still got affected, and they need a replacement unit. And I tried telling everybody back then, the type of surge protector it is, Hotfix don't know what the hell they're doing. That's not a surge protector for ESD. That's a surge protector for lightning or something more powerful than that. It's a one-time only. Gas is inside of it. One time only. It shunts down and it's supposed to protect your equipment. It's not made to bleed off ESD like they're thinking is what's happening with those LNAs. You can kind of tell. This is me in my own words, Grumpy's own words. This is not financial advice, but this is me in my opinion, and that's it. You can tell reading between the lines and the way just listen to them talk. Wingbits is not happy with this either. We've always said this is on high fix. This is not on Wingbits to fix. Some people are complaining that high fix should be reimbursing money, but you don't know how much money is supposed to be getting reimbursed because you don't know how much the tokens are going to be worth. I can understand that, but whatever. All they would hint towards in this, and if y'all were in the AMA and y'all kind of took this a different way, just say it. But reading between the lines, all Robin would say was there should be an announcement shortly in reference to equipment about Wingbits. So listen, you got people speculating that they're going to start allowing DIY devices again. You know, you can buy a geosigner, maybe with a license or something, and get a DIY device again. Or they're going to come up with a different manufacturer. Hey, you might see a manufacturer like 4D Sky's using right now. You don't know. But they are going to supposed to be having some type of announcement coming soon. Me personally, I hope it's that we can use DIY devices again. I'll pay for a geosigner and some type of license maybe, and you know, the geosigner encrypts the information 100%. You know, make sure that your location is where you say it is. You can't spoof it, whatever. I don't know. But wait for an announcement. There's supposed to be an announcement coming up at some point soon about that. I'm very excited about that part. Next, people did bring up competition in 4D Sky. Listen, guys, I've talked about 4D Sky on videos before. I think it's a good sign. Helium Deploy had 200 devices. They sold out in hours. There's another drop coming next week. So I think competition is good for business. It keeps both businesses on their toes. Do I think, you know, they've said 4D Sky is not in the exact competition. They're not going after the aircraft. They're going after UAS and 978 and just low flight type things, where Wingbits is going after your 40,000 feet in the air, or how long is this aircraft taxiing on this, or delayed on this taxi on this runway, and that kind of stuff like that. But either way, they both work off ADS-B. I will say this too. Wingbits has almost 5,000. I have the number written down. I forgot where it's at. Wingbits has over 5,000 devices deployed around the world. 4D Sky has 100 something. A Wingbits WB200 cost about $450. If you use the Grumpy code of Helium Deploy, it's even cheaper. Where a 4D Sky unit costs about $950. It's the difference. It's a lot more capital. So I wanted to go over that, but that's it. We at our scouting spot for hunting, and I got to go, so I'm definitely going this time. It'll be dark, so hopefully I can try to, depending on what my internet looks like, I'm going to try to upload this tonight. If not, it'll be maybe tomorrow. But happy Thanksgiving again, everybody, and y'all have a good one.